Hello and welcome. Here we are again, the Marianne and Corinna duo, or Marianne and Corinna show. And we have a really interesting subject today. And it seems to be something that is not necessarily specifically up right now, it's up in our lives basically throughout, from birth to death. Let's put it that way. And it just depends on how much it's up, on how we're dealing with it. And the subject is order and chaos. How much have we learned as kids, and it's been reinforced through our life that order is what is necessary to have a successful life, and that chaos is destructive. Chaos just doesn't bring anything. You need to have an order in it, and that's when it works. Now let's look at the reality. Does order create? Or if we are really forcing order into our lives, are we destroying?
Good question. Good question,
Ordered
Karina.
cell can often be the one that creates disease in the body.
Hmm.
So I'm just leaving it that right now. And then there's chaos. Chaos is bad. Chaos is destructive. But if I look at the fact that Big Bang definitely was not ordered, what did the Big Bang create? And is there chaos that is creating, and possibly even chaos that is destroying? And what if we have two different words for that? Chaos is creative and havoc is destructive. So, are we willing to look at our lives where we have chaos and where we are creating havoc?
Yeah.
And what are your experiences, Marianne, with that?
Oh, Karina, I can say when I was listening to you, there came up so much as a sudden from my childhood on, as you
Mm,
mentioned it, it's through our lives. And it was now in a second really getting clear how much order was impelled on me within the family by my mother. As I
mm,
can remember, yeah, dancing and laughing and a happy child. And it's not remembering as really vivid remembering me. It's a knowing and a sense I can tap into that it was as I am a happy being and I laugh
mm,
and I yeah, happiness is who I am. So there is knowing that from really young age on, 2 3 years, often order yeah, was held on me as behavior. You have to behave yourself. You
mm.
cannot do this and this and this and this as sit
Yeah.
still, be polite, do this, do that. And it was often with 5 6 years already, I couldn't really get it as why everyone would be the same, why it wasn't allowed to be happy, why it wasn't allowed to spring around and have fun, as so many things in coming up now as, yes, the chaos that my life is, the chaos from the point of view as creating, as generating different things, going, growing, being, whatever it was, that chaos I wasn't allowed to be. I wasn't allowed to be. And even now saying it, it was, oh, but I did it also with my children because I took it on from my parents and then from the community and culture and whatever it was that,
Mhm.
yeah, the behaviors, what you have to do, you can't do, you have to be, as they say it, you have to be, but it's nothing, it's far from being, but hey, that's how it is called. So, in a certain way, even I went different with my children. There was still a lot of trying to put order into everything. So, order is really, yeah, is creating, but it creates limitation,
Mhm.
definitions.
Yeah.
And as I see it, you mentioned also disease. Going with what I created with my body, yes, it created a lot of unease and disease with my body, which I'm now really even more grateful for what I left behind by choosing more chaos, being in allowance
Mhm.
also. Yes, wow.
Listening to you, what that brought up for me is how much our schools actually the training ground for order, for imposing order, that order is necessary.
Wow. Yeah.
And that way we limit. And if I look at it as a parent, if I have rules that I enforce that enforce order, seemingly life is a lot easier because it's predictable. Everybody knows where we are at, what's supposed to be or not be. And so it goes from that. And that
And
also,
you sorry that I interrupt you
yeah,
because you mentioned there a word that is really seemingly that comfort, seemingly that it is okay, seemingly that you fit in, seemingly, yes, yes, yes. I wanted to pull out that energy even more because that is what we do with ourselves. We go with the belief of the seemingly it is okay. It is everything. Yes. Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt you.
No, it's absolutely fine. And so we sort of train good little soldiers. And I don't mean it necessarily in the true word of soldiers or being military, but they march in line, they do what they are told. Um, when kids go through school and, looking at the fact that 12, 13 years that they are in the system is long enough to really impose that. And
And
how
isn't it,
much creativity is getting killed by that order.
yeah, yeah, and going also with the school system, how many hours
Mm-hmm.
when during the wake time of a day we passing by in school with that order? And isn't it also from, yeah, as I see it with my parents of that generation, isn't it that a lot of parents put their faith into schools to get their children in that order so they are good behaviors, so then they are safe to go out with their children because they learned it in school. So how
Yeah.
many power did they give to the school systems, to the order systems, due to the school system? That's a question that's coming up for me now.
Uh, I can get that. And I also experienced while my kids were in school how much parents just abdicated being a parent by putting their kids into school.
That, yeah, that as not being present, not even being
Yeah.
aware that somehow they are part of that their lives,
Yeah.
of that creation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when you mentioned limiting the creation with that order system, literally it was something I experienced, and that I can really remember me vivid as I go there again, is with the creation time when we had to draw things or coloring it in.
Mm-hmm.
It never was good enough for the teacher, as from her point of view, I wasn't doing what she was asking.
Yeah. Usually
I
that's
let it
because.
come out free and I chose different colors, or I painted it something different, or there was something that wasn't going with the expectations and what they were asking to do, us, the children. And even when I went to the third preschool as 5 year old, it is, yes, it's 5 year old. I can remember that the stress I noticed in my body, I wouldn't call it stress at that time, it's what I'm saying now about it, but the stress that came in when the teacher mentioned that it was time to go with that kind of creation time, it was really something I started to hate doing in school, as though it's something I love to play with. But I stopped it.
And how much listening to you, that was part, but even later in up to high school, I remember my daughter talking about that she thought that an assignment was give your opinion on that.
Yeah,
But her opinion was supposed to be the opinion of the teacher.
yeah,
I mean, it stops the independent thinking, and the school specifically told the parents at the back to school night that we are here to teach your children independent thinking. And all
yeah,
I could do was stifle my laughter because it was such a lie, and such a
yeah, yeah,
ridiculous lie
yeah.
at that.
And
So,
still, they believe that they teach them to be independent and different and unique and blah, 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 blah. They still
exactly,
believe
blah,
it.
blah, 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 blah.
And isn't it, Karina, that chaos, as you mentioned, isn't it from this reality point of view, that is, it is something to avoid. It is something
Mm-hmm.
that is so destructive. They know it, they see it, they know it, but they go with only that one way, the destructive way. They can't get that as we go with it, that chaos is also creating the space to move and
Yeah,
create something different out of it. As we see it also in nature, when nature is going wild, chaotic with the weather, there is a lot happening. Yes, and you have to be aware. to be safe. You are not going out and standing and going into the forest when there is a really big storm going on. That is something. Let nature do what it has to do. And that chaos, what is it? Every time again, creating
Mm-hmm.
something new, new possibilities for the plants, for the trees, for the animals,
Yeah.
always something new. And we humans, are we the race that going against natural
That we are
laws?
unnatural.
Isn't
Yeah.
that interesting saying it and being with it? Human being is seen as something natural. We are natural. Instead, the truth is that most of us are unnatural
Mm-hmm.
living.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we buy so much into that order is creative. How much does that inform the desire for control?
Can you expand a little bit more on this?
What can you control? You can control order. If you know this is supposed to be that way and A follows B, B
Yeah,
follows A, C, etc. But can you control chaos?
yeah.
Good luck. There is not a
And that was the energy, Karina, I noticed again coming up when I said from my childhood. It was that they couldn't control me. They
Mhm.
couldn't, therefore we have to behave,
Yeah,
because is behavior coming from the control? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And what this triggered now in me is saying things that I was aware of, but since I couldn't be aware of being a child, how did I dare to make those statements?
Yeah, yeah.
It's again that it's really interesting to see that if you look at it, to see that interplay between the need for order and the need for control.
They go together. For me,
Yeah,
they go together, the
yeah,
order and the control,
yeah.
as though also I loved being occupied with different things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And even that wasn't allowed also. It's learned and been learned to, you are busy with this one and then you go up till to the end and then you
Can do something
put it
else.
aside or whatever, but then you can go to the following
Yeah.
thing. And yeah, that order is so breathtaking for me, as I wasn't, I was aware of it and I wasn't aware of it. As I say, I wasn't aware, I wasn't conscious aware of it, that it was really creating havoc in
Mm-hmm.
my body, in my reality, as though chaos is seen as wrong. What do they tell? In all chaos, there's cosmos. In all disorder, there is a secret order. Oh, that's interesting.
I
And it
mean,
is.
yeah. And it is really, if you do this one after the other, you have to focus. What are you doing with all these creative, spontaneous thoughts that pop up?
Yeah,
There is no space for them.
there is no space. And can I go with some energy of what one was writing here, the disorder and the secret order in the disorder, and that's on point for me with the energy. It is creating a disorder. Something is going out of the order, but it is from a secret, or because we aren't really conscious aware, present with the order, so it become secret, as we aren't
Yeah.
allowed to
Yeah.
know that we are functioning from that order, because they know everywhere you become really conscious present with the order and the control they want to put on you, then you can go and choose something different. And choosing different, is that allowed?
I mean, let's just let's just look at every day, and especially right now. Choosing different, you need to choose what you're told that is the right choice. And if you
Yeah,
don't make the right choice, then you're bad. Then you are uh, hurting other people. Then you are hurting society. Then you are hurting whatever it is. And sometimes it's really interesting to see how they say, "Yeah, this is correct, but," and then follows how it would be correcter. And that is where it's actually that secret order
yeah,
that we're not supposed to be aware of.
yeah. Yeah, and when you are willing to be aware of it, so much is changing immediately,
Mm-hmm.
immediately, and it breaks open. And I was laughing also with that but, because at the but with the T at the end, the but, and then blah blah blah. But so often now, it's more recently, what's happening is then I get a visual of the butt with the D. And then I'm thinking after, yeah, put it in your butt.
Yeah,
Then it's never seen and then it's never heard, so you can go on.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow, yes. And
So,
isn't it also, Karina, that chaos requires space? As though the chaos they mention to avoid, that is the havoc, and havoc does have does has havoc space. For
no,
me, havoc is really contracted and concentrated explosion, which isn't an explosion for creation, it's destructive.
or is it more an implosion?
Yes, perhaps that's the more correct word. Yes, yes, implode, yes, yeah,
Because implosion doesn't need space.
yes, that's the correct energy. And even now, tapping into that energy of implosion, how many times do we choose to implode inside because we are not allowed, or not
We're not allowed to
really?
explode.
Yes, yes, because we diminish all that energy, and
Mhm.
we know that we aren't allowed to let it out. So what do we choose sometimes is letting it implode inside of us, and the disorder is there also,
Mhm.
and the disease.
Yeah.
And
And there
is
is,
that some? Yeah, go.
No, no, go ahead.
Because of those two energies of exploding and imploding, I was really questioning now, does Earth ever choose to implode?
Not really.
Not from my point of view
Yeah.
either. And nevertheless, as we see now with what is happening with the earthquakes and volcano eruption, with this more, and the volcano is exploding and the earthquakes are more inside of the earth. And still, for me, the energy of exploding, as I was questioning it, is that an imploding or exploding? It is still from something getting out, making space, creating.
And can we even go and talk about imploding with a vibration?
Oh, tell more.
Yeah, from my perspective, an earthquake is a vibration, creates a vibration. That's why we have the shaking. And can a vibration implode? Because the way energetically that I perceive it is as if a vibration would implode, it would totally disappear.
Get you.
It couldn't be, so to speak.
Yeah, get you. See, I get what you get. And I would say, yes, I'm along with you there. Yes.
I mean, I've
Wow.
experienced earthquakes, and interestingly, the first earthquakes that I experienced were the ones that you felt in southern Germany from earthquakes in northern Italy. And that was a really strange experience. I remember one time I had hung clothing on a rack to dry to finish drying, and as a sudden everything was swinging gently.
Yeah.
And you have the same thing in like in California, having lived in California for over 20 years. There, there is that vibration, that swinging. I mean, doors
Yeah.
swing open, lamps swing in the rhythm of the vibration. You notice an earth, people can be in the same location and the one person is noticing the earthquake and the other not. And what I noticed is like if an earthquake happens at night, how is your bed oriented? Is the wave going across the bed or with the bed? And if it's
This
going
brings
with
up for
the
me an
bed, you really
experience when I
don't
was in.
notice it. That you sleep through it, and if it's going across, it's sort of like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
I remember experience once an earthquake, and it was during the night. And I jumped out of bed and I was looking outside because I thought it was something there going on. I didn't know. And it was really weird because the house near us, it's within a distance of 6 meters from where I was and the other, and we went like going that way. When my house went that way, the other house went that way, and we were shaking this way, and it was so weird to experience that.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's perhaps what I wanted to say also about that exploding as a volcano is literally you can see it outside, and the earthquakes are inside. It's still an explosion. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. and creating space. Isn't it an earthquake? Isn't it earth creating space with earthquakes as the molecules, as the layers are changing?
I mean, if you look technically from an earthquake usually happens where you have plates meeting. And you have two ways of plates meeting. They either flow against each other or one goes underneath another one.
Yeah,
And so, in either case, it's creating freedom from a stuckness.
yeah, which for me is space. So
Okay. Yeah. No,
yeah, and
I
that's
can
the
see it.
interesting. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, as when we, even the two of us, are speaking about space for you, what is space for you, what is space for me, and then all the listeners, what is space for them. And that itself, for me, is so creative, is
Mhm.
so, yeah, making so much more possible
Yeah.
from every spaces of everyone together. And yeah, is that the true chaos life is?
Is it? It's a good question.
Yeah, from
And I would
my,
invite people to sit with it.
that is true chaos. Is chaos the true, hmm, or is it an element of life? We can leave it there also.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, if people can get clear of what the meaning is for them and what it creates instead of just buying, oh, so and so is saying this is what we, how things work, and I accept that. Uh, how much can we each make our own decision and can be an allowance that they may be diametrically opposite,
Yeah, yeah, it
and
is
yeah, be
because,
okay with it.
yeah, and be okay with it. And as we mentioned, space can be something different for everyone. So space has no definition, has no form,
But
has no structure also.
and that's just what I wanted to say. How much is, if we're not okay with it, how much are we asking for order, for definition?
Mm, yeah,
And being okay with it is allowing chaos.
yeah. And chaos also for me, Corinne, is not always something really busy or really notable or
Mhm.
really presentable, palpable. Chaos can also be some energies who are really flying by, coming in, moving something so that it can create, opening the space for something
Yep.
different. And it's not always with intensity, it can also be soft
And
and
subtle.
ease
Yeah.
and subtle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but okay, that would be too easy to know
Agreed.
that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Don't choose it.
No. I mean, are you saying it is possible to live without having everything defined?
What do you know?
Yep. Definitions are killers. And
Absolutely.
and they actually make life difficult. How much do people create suffering by defining themselves as something?
Yeah.
And that definition may fly in the face of someone else who then pushes back.
Yeah.
If I don't have the need to define myself, I can be that and so much more.
And so much more. Because when I define myself, I have to stay with that definition.
Yep.
I can't go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I have to stay the same old
Yeah, but
story.
that's what order is all about.
Yeah, I know, but you know, for me, enough order. I'm having, I've had it. I tried it. I lived it. It didn't work that well. So I'm choosing different now.
Yeah. And it's more fun.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It allows more
Far more.
exploration. It allows more. I mean, let's be honest. Is any invention that has ever been made out of order or been made out of the willingness to explore something else, to look for a different possibility?
Yeah. And that exploration, Karina, that's an energy I really love to go with.
Mhm.
Exploration as what else is possible truly? What else is possible? And how much more fun can I have? And how much more ease can I have? As you mentioned, also the definition. How many definition is there to have that sense of ease? Where in truth, is it ease? As what I discovered, it's completely the opposite. But
Yep.
hey, everyone is free to discover what it is for themselves.
Yep. And I guess that really gets at the point of chaos that we would like with these conversations to insert in people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Is exploring for themselves what is true for them or not true for them, instead of having the order of this is how it is.
yeah. And it's nothing about taking on what we say, believing what we say, because it's nothing about that.
It
Even
is,
I don't have to believe what you tell me, and you don't have to believe what
no,
I tell you. And yeah, if it is something that lightens me up, what you are bringing, then I sit with that, or I know, yes,
yeah,
that's
same
something that
here.
is also for me a thing to believe. If there is something that I say, is that even true for me? And it's not going against what you are saying or someone else says, when it's not really matching or opening yourself up, it's not because of the other is wrong or it's not true what they are saying. It's what is about the truth for you. There it is about what do you know, what is true for you, what is creating more for you, what is ease for you, what is the fun for you, the joy, everything about that. Yes,
Excuse
sorry,
me,
Karina.
Marianne, you are creating chaos.
So where will I end up this time with the chaos I create? Oh, yes. Before, in other lifetimes, they told me, and it was in other lifetimes, they would kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm saying, do you want to kill me? Come on. I'm
Yeah,
not resisting that any longer also. And not resisting that is so much more creative.
It's like, what Dane says is can you actually punch a marshmallow and make an impact? Yes, it goes in because you
And
punch,
it
and
goes
then
out.
as you pull back, it goes back out.
Yeah,
It's not that that hole or that deformation, so to speak, stays.
exactly. Exactly.
So, how can each one of us create our lives as such?
How would that be, Karina?
That
How
would
would
be
that be?
chaotic.
Yes. And also, what's bringing up now is that energy. How many even now having a vision or something as going along with what you are saying here, but not starting with themselves, waiting when it is appearing into the world, when everyone is choosing that different.
Yeah.
And that is what you choose different to be. And a lot of us together with us, being ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
exploring what that really is for us, exploring what is true for us, making choices, different choices again and again and again, and coming out of definitions, coming out of order, and at the same time coming out of the disorders and the diseases and everything that is secret in there. So, yeah, it doesn't matter how many people are choosing something different. That doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
For me, it's a knowing I can choose it and I'm choosing it.
That's the one thing. And the reason I was just grinning and suppressing a chuckle is because the image arose of seeing an ordered sandbox. Or is it disordered? Is it chaotic?
That's the question. That's so, yeah, that's a nice tone to wrap up our conversation for today, Corinne. A little chaos, a little fun, a little joy,
A
and
little
how does it get
play,
any better?
a little bit of play.
A little bit of play, yes.
Yeah.
And how much more space and yeah, wow. Yes. I'm going to choose a little bit more chaos for the rest of my day. I'm not sure you are, but hey,
No.
no, stay in order for the rest of the day. That's a good
Yes.
choice.
Yes. Absolutely. It's better controllable.
Yes, yes. Oh, you mean you control yourself also? Do we do that?
Uh,
Controlling ourselves.
we behave.
Oh yes, yes, we spoke about it. Sorry, already forgotten. How much fun can we have with behavior and doing it the right way?
And how much chaos can the right behavior introduce into an environment?
Mm, yes, yes, I will define the right behavior different from now on.
Or is there the right behavior, the behavior that is required in the moment, or the appropriate behavior?
Yes, and how much more play can we have with going along with all the definitions and all the words and going in different directions with them and getting
Yep.
them together in a different way? Oh, yes. And
Mixing
that's
and
what we
matching.
call life. So, yes, have a lot of fun, Karina. Have
Yes.
a lot of fun. And all the viewers and listeners have a lot of fun also. And we see each other next week. Bye
And you have
bye.
a lot of fun, Marianne. And
Yes, thank you. I will.
what chaos can we create next week? Not what
Yes.
havoc. What chaos can we create? Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.